to be. It's funny, I felt like getting on and doing so many videos, and then like the minute that I go to do them, either something else pops in, or I lose the channel. I was gonna say the train of thought. The train comes and picks up the thought, says nope later. That one's not right now, but this one came in, and it's actually something I've been seeing a pattern on, and that ironically I have some experience with, and that's at some point you're likely, well, I was going to say it depends on your journey, but if you find yourself um, in separation from the person that you're fairly positive is your twin, and or I mean, you might even be in union, but like you're in separation in the sense that you're not together on things. You're really triggering each other like a lot consistently, or you're in separation and there's like a lot of separation in the 3D, and you either might feel called to start dating, or and or I would say it's both. You're gonna have others who are drawn to you, and you're gonna notice that at least a few of them are very similar to your twin in some very significant ways. Some of them might look a lot like your twin, like I mean, very subtle differences, same height, weight, um, facial features to a degree. Maybe their eye color is just slightly different or something along those lines. I mean, they might even have the same lifestyle or a similar life story, or they could look completely different but have almost the same exact life story, or they could have a totally different backstory and look totally different, but their mannerisms and the way that they interact with you is almost the same way as you would interact with your twin. I mean, there's so many different ways that it can manifest. And what I've noticed is it's typically one of two things. Now, if you still have a fair amount of healing work to do, it could be a false flame, which is a type of karmic, and it doesn't have to be a bad karmic. Remember, when we say karmic, it does not necessarily mean ew, icky, bad, toxic person. Karmics can also be those who come in and help us learn how to receive love in a positive way. Like, because there's plenty of times that we're actually afraid to allow love in, especially the love that we deserve. Like, isn't that funny? Then the light came on. Say, I don't know why that reminds me of the song. I saw the suns and it opened up my eyes. But I want to say sun, like, I saw the sun and it opened up my eyes. I saw the sun. Anyways, um, yeah, so if it's a false flame, then it's somebody who is coming, it's most likely somebody who's coming in to help you learn lessons that will help you heal yourself of a lot of things, and actually help you heal some things that cause triggering between you and your twin. This is why I'll always say, like, when like somebody comes to me and they're like, I think that this is my twin, or like I've met somebody else and I'm not sure now who my twin is. It could be this person, it could be that person. I'll always say, if you feel compelled to have interactions with that person, you want to explore them. I mean, you got to go with a different with a you got to go with what your heart and your head are telling you to do. If you don't feel good about dating in general, then don't do anything. If you don't feel good about interacting with said person, don't do it. I don't care if the reason you don't feel good is because you're thinking about your twin flame, or you're scared, or whatever it is. If you don't feel inspired to do it, then don't do it. But if you feel inspired to do it and you're like, this person seems kind of fun, and really it's just the background noise in my mind about, what my twin flame might be doing or thinking, but otherwise you feel good about it, you feel pretty positive, you feel safe, you think you have good boundaries and stuff, then do the interaction. Because even if they turn out to be a false flame, or say like, say they're the good kind of false flame, good kind of karmic, and it just ends up causing a lot of confusion for you, and you deal with a whole lot of like, oh, but now I have to really let go of my twin flame and all this stuff. That's still good, because a lot of times it won't be until you've actually completely allowed closure to happen, and you're no longer attached to whether or not union comes in, that it comes in. And it's not bad to need help with that. And a lot of times, the people that will call in that kind of false flame, I've been praying for help. They've been praying for clarity. They've been praying to know how to heal what they need to heal. And then they get sent like person after person after person, that like wants to pursue them or wants their attention or that they want to pursue. But then they back away because of the similarities to their twin flame, or they'll get into the middle of something and then realize, wow, this person's a lot like my twin flame, or even they just trigger me a lot like my twin flame, and then they'll pull back. Or we get so afraid of the potential that it might be a negative kind of karmic, we run from it. But here's the thing, just like we have to remember that when our twin flames are with karmics, that we need to be appreciative of them. Yeah, it's not fun. Yeah, it could be toxic. Yeah, it could take up time and energy, and you gotta, on your end, you gotta deal with learning all sorts of things like compersion and stuff like that. But they all come to a good place. It all equals healing in the end. It all helps you grow. And so a lot of times, our twins karmics are exactly who they needed to be faced with in order to help them grow up without becoming like a doldrum adult. Like to really grow up, to recognize, to transcend ego, and or at least awaken enough that they're aware when they're in ego. But we get afraid of that, and it's like, I don't want to get in with a karmic, or even I don't want to get in with somebody who's like a soulmate that could be a false flame, and then my twin comes back and then I have to hurt the other person. Like, if you feel good about interacting with someone or looking for someone or anything like that, and that's all you have, and then just work on those fears a little bit and then open yourself up. But otherwise, if you feel good about it, go for it, because even if it turns out to be a karmic situation, even if it takes up some time of your life, you're going to actually likely learn lessons a lot faster than you would if you just keep yourself in this like holding position of not ever doing anything or talking to anyone or ever considering thinking about doing anything with anyone else. Like, really, it can open up a lot more of you than you think. And because you and your twin are connected on the soul level, it can open up them a lot more than you think. Now, the other thing that I've noticed that it can be is kind of a doppelganger thing. And it's funny because you'll know whether or not these are like, if you're getting a lot of people coming towards you, but like either you meet them randomly or they come towards you, or maybe you have a few short interactions with them but they don't last. Like, maybe you're even interested in interacting with them, but once you have a couple of interactions, like, they just kind of check out, like they ghost. That is actually a sign that you are successfully manifesting your twin. And it's kind of a bit of a test to a degree. Not a test as in a test you have to pass, but a test of, if you had somebody if you could manifest somebody right now who was all the same things as your twin. Like, they banter with you the way that you like, they look as just as attractive, you have the same sort of chemistry, they tick all the boxes of all the things, maybe they even fight with you the same way that your twin does, you get all the same healing work. Like, let's say everything was the same, but maybe like they have less curly hair or a different hair color, or they wear button ups instead of polos, or like, there's only like one or two small differences that really tell you it's not the same physical body and stuff like that. But if you were able to manifest that, and you could have, and they could be everything for you that the person you believe that is your twin has not been doing, could you be satisfied with that? Could you be happy with that if it was all the same? I mean, it could even be the same name as your twin. Like, so it's the same name, same birthday, everything, except they wear a different style of shirt and shoes. But everything else feels the same to you. Could you accept that? And really, it's like, well, go into the whys and the why nots. Like, that's kind of the test that they're there for, is like, why is the person you believe is your twin, why do you feel they are that special? Why would it need to be them? I mean, like, it also gets into the shadow work of self-worth stuff, especially like the cobweb stuff that you can't really get at unless you have a real long broom to get it out of the way. And it's like, you're worthy of that love. Like, you are so worthy of having somebody come in and just be everything that you want and need. And also not being so perfect that it's too good to be true. Like, just the perfectly imperfect kind of situation where, it's everything that you've been wanting, everything that you've been manifesting. So if you could have that, are you turning it down because you know for sure that the person that you're thinking of, that is incomparable and irreplaceable to anybody else, even if they, were a complete clone? Is it because you know in all of your being that it is them, and you have at least 5 to 10 reasons why they are special and important and profound for you in healthy ways? And it's not necessary, and half of those better not be things that they would do for you, or that you want them to do for you. They're just things that you love about them, that are unique about them. Oh, that's funny. I don't know if that's a eagle. Is it an eagle? It's either an eagle or a great blue heron. It just flew right over. It's interesting. Anyways, like, it really gets you down to that. It's contrast, effectively. Like, once you know what you don't want, you know what you do want, and you know why. And so when you start getting in these doppelganger types that are so much like your twin, I mean, they might even be so much like your twin that you're like, yummy. Like, I want to try that out, and there's nothing wrong with that, but, like, really, you can, I don't even know how to describe it. There's something that you will just know about them. Like, you will know that there's something different, that they're not really meant to be a soulmate or a false flame, and they're not your twin, but there's something about them that you do feel like you want to say something, or you need to have some kind of interaction with them that will do something you can't quite explain. And then if you do it, in fact, what's funny, if you do it, then you find out what it is. And ironically, what I was going to say is, sometimes even if you decide not to interact with them, then you'll have the processing in your own head about all of the whys and what fors, and sometimes that's the only reason for the interaction. Um, but I think it's funny. So I mean, if you've really got a lot of healing to do, that's when you're looking at false flame karmic stuff. And a lot of times, the same indicators of that you can find in looking up, like, displacement that often happens after breakups of long-term relationships. Is like, is the person, either do they appear to be almost exactly the same as the person that you were with for a long time, or do they seem like the complete opposite of the person you were with for a long time? Usually displacement is one of the two. And if you're not very far into separation, and that, I mean, that could, it's so subjective. That could be 3 months, it could be up to 3 years. Like, it depends on how long the relationship was, how deep the connection was, just all sorts of factors. How conscious you are, how awakened you are, how awakened they are. There's so many factors, but depending on where you are in the level of separation, and where your level of healing is, like where your level of comfort is with whether or not you ever have, like, 3D union, if you're really comfortable with, like, okay, like, yeah, I would really like for 3D union to also occur, though I am comfortable with 5D union if that's all I get. It's a pretty magical connection, and I know that I mean, it transcends distance, space, time, third parties, all that. And you've already gotten all the evidence that you need that proves that no amount of distractions or karmics or anything have been able to actually damage any of your 5D connection. Because trust me, on the journey, Spirit will show you. Your twin will reveal it themselves half the time, without even recognizing what they're doing. They will show you that they have not disconnected from you, no matter how much they may use words, or give off appearances that they're not holding on anymore. And once you get to a place where you're comfortable with, like, you're like, you know what, I'm free falling, right? Like, when you're comfortable, you can enjoy your life. You're not worried about relationships at all. Like, you're like, if something comes in and it's fun, I'll enjoy it, but I'm not in a place where I'm like, I have to get married right now, I have to have a baby right now, I have to have a job right now. You're like comfortable. You got you're glowing up. You got your tribe going on. Like you know, you can tell where you are in the healing stages by what else is going on around you. Abraham talks about that as like you can tell where how you know what your energetic alignment is and where your vibration is by what's around you. Do you see fancy cars that are nice and well taken care of, or do you see a bunch of hoopies and jalopies? Like, you know, do you see healthy people who seem like they're having fun and smiling, or do you got a lot of people around you that are just in total chaos and victimhood and things like that? Do you have friends? Do you have at least two active, good friends that you talk to on a regular basis and you have fun and they have fun with you and it's very reciprocal? It's a very healthy, healing friendship. You know, like how do you, where are you at on your healing journey? If you haven't gotten those things, if you don't have like some overall life goals that you're working on, that you're going to work on, whether you're in or out of a relationship with or without your twin, things like that, then it's likely that if you're getting doppelganger sorts, they are probably karmics. And it's not a bad thing. And you don't know whether it's going to be a good or a bad karmic until you really interact with them. Though I can guarantee you that if you've had any big interactions with your twin, no relationship is ever going to be as difficult, complicated, or drawn out as the one that you have had with your twin flame. So you can comfortably decide to explore them if you feel good about doing so. But if you're in that place where you have, you know, pretty much everything else is in a good place, you feel like you've sprung forward into divine timing, you trust your intuition, you trust yourself, most of your self-worth is there. None of these things are going to be perfect. And I mean, unless you decide that you want to live in nirvana until you go back to the non-physical, then you're gonna there's always going to be a little bit of doubt, a little bit of things like that. That's what ego brings in. It brings us in that contrast. However, outside of the human experience of imperfections that always seem to help us get to where we need to go eventually, you're going to know if you're in a good enough space that you're now simply attracting people to you that are so much like your twin because you're actually manifesting your twin. It's just you have to remember one, you are that powerful. Like, think about it. Like, think about how many different kinds of people there are in this earth that you would manage to find. Like, I don't even just mean one. Like let's say 10 people within a 30-minute driving distance who are so similar to your twin. Like, that's powerful. That defies odds. You know what I mean? Even just two people that are very much very similar to your twin is very powerful. And you know, and even drawing in a karmic that's a lot like them is very powerful. But like, if you're doing that, it's a sign that one, you are standing in your power and you're so open to it. You're not waiting, and yet you're not running or chasing anyone, that you're allowing that to come in. And each time you get in one of these doppelganger sorts, you can go, aha, all right, there's another manifestation of my twin. How awesome. And the other thing that it means is that your twin is doing the same thing in a way. Like, they're really powerful and they're resisting the connection. They're resisting the pull. Because trust me, if they were ready for it, they would be the one that you'd draw in. But I want you to know, though, that if you're getting those doppelganger sorts in, think about it. Like, those doppelgangers don't really know you. They don't have any reason not to follow the pull to you. Like, you know, spirit leads them to you. They don't know anything about it. Well, some of them do. Sometimes you actually meet someone that's also on a twin flame journey and they are actually aware of this stuff, and that's kind of a cool experience. But most of the time they just don't know, and so they just feel the pull to you. They, you know, spirit lines them up to bring them to you to decide what you want to do. You want to enjoy this person, you want to just take it as a sign of the manifestation. And like, if it's that easy for those doppelgangers to be pulled into your vibration without you even going looking for them, or let's say you're just barely putting in minimal effort for, you know, to look for people or anything like that, like, that's powerful. You are that powerful that that is happening. And that mean, like, think about what that means. Like, if you can draw in like two or three doppelgangers who are even just half as much identical to your twin, imagine how much effort it requires, how much resistance it requires for your twin to not reach out to you or not come to you or not, you know what I mean? Like that's a lot. That's a lot. The funny thing is getting to that place is really just about getting into receptivity mode. It's not about forcing anything. It's not about spells or chants and stuff like that. It's just being receptive to it. Like you've done your shadow work. You're not holding a space of resentment. You're not mad. You're not happy. But you got good boundaries. You know what you deserve. You're comfortable. You don't feel too triggered about any of it. You want it, but you don't need it. Like, you're there. You got good friends, you have good community, you have projects you like to work on, you're in a good space. You're just receptive to it. You're just receptive. That's it. But that is actually, ironically, the most magnetic force in the universe is receptivity, allowing, openness. That's part of why I believe that spirit brought in the lesson for me, which was like, first it was about learning to trust myself and recognizing that I'm right most of the time, like 98% of the time. But then once I got there and I learned that lesson, the lesson was all about being right and also being open to joyful amazement, which is like pleasant surprises. And because you don't get to experience miracles and magic and things like that if you always need to know everything, or you're just always, knowing all the time. You want to be able to be surprised. Spirit wants you to be able to enjoy that experience, and you want to be able to enjoy it. If you really think about it, everybody likes happy surprises. Nobody likes unpleasant surprises, but everybody likes happy surprises. And like when you can know everything and trust yourself and also be open to all potential outcomes of through joyful amazement energy, and you just feel grateful for whatever experience it is that you're having, like that's really powerful. That's really powerful manifestation. And so if you're getting in doppelganger sorts, take it in, journal it out. Like, think about, what does this mean? How do you feel about that? How do you feel about meeting a twin of your twin? How do you feel about the idea that maybe the other person isn't your twin? How do you feel about the idea that even if they are your twin, you could be happy with this other person? Or would you rather go it alone and learn not to wait and learn not to do any of that on your own and just take these as contrasting moments? Like, it's really just to clarify, what do you want? What do you feel like you need? And if you feel like you need a relationship or you can't be happy, then jump into one of them, because it might be that you need to learn some of those lessons. And vice versa, it might be that when you learn those lessons, that other lessons are learned by your twin through interacting with you now that you got a karmic kind of thing. There's really no right or wrong answers. The only thing about it is, what do you want to experience? What kind of contrast do you want to have? You know? Anyways, I'm going to end this here. I might do another video soon, although I'm not sure. So thank you for those of you who have been watching, who will watch, and I'll see you in the next video.